Hey, here we are. This is the Daybreak podcast, episode 7. We got our guest today, Redbird Press. How you doing, buddy?
What up?
Yeah, thanks for
Hey,
thanks for taking some time. I know this was like short notice, but you stepped up to the plate, and I think we already had a little bit of a conversation off camera, and I think we're gonna have a really good conversation here today, man, for sure,
yeah, no, for sure, man. I'm excited to be here. Yeah, anything I can do to help the community,
for
you
sure.
know,
Yeah, and we can kind of, it's nice, man, because, we can pick each other's brains like we already were a little
absolutely,
bit.
yeah, for sure.
I'm just going to do our ad read real quick. So, this episode of the Daybreak podcast is brought to you by Daybreak Enterprises. Headquartered in sunny Cleveland, Ohio, Daybreak Enterprises is a custom apparel company specializing in screen printing, embroidery, digital printing, and custom tie-dyed apparel. From beer league softball jerseys, event apparel, to large corporate accounts, Daybreak has solutions for everybody. Are you or your organization interested in getting some new apparel made? Head over to Daybreak Enterprises, CLE.com today to browse their portfolio and get inspiration for your next project. Again, that's Daybreak Enterprises, CLE.com to get started on your next custom apparel project. And on that same vein, we have Sammy here from Redbird Press. He's located down in Raleigh, North Carolina. So if you guys are down in that area at all and you need some apparel made, feel free to reach out to his team because we are kind of running a similar business here. And I know Redbird, just looking over their portfolio and everything, they do really awesome work from everything I've seen. So,
Try.
yeah. So, just to introduce you real quick, yeah, like I stumbled upon your guys' Instagram. I know you guys like started following us. I think I commented on one of the shirt show
Yeah,
threads.
yeah,
Yeah, for
yeah.
sure.
It's definitely like a tight knit community out there. There's a lot of shops. I feel like I know a lot of the big ones, but then there's always like ones that continue to pop up, you know. But the
Yeah, you got.
shirt show and like Printavo's podcast and those guys are, yeah, it's just great that printers are uh, able to come together on a platform nowadays and share some success stories or horror stories or just general shop stuff, you know.
Yeah, for sure. And like I said, like we're all located all over different little corners of the country, and it's like if we can do anything to help each other out here and
Absolutely.
there, it's
All
like
about that.
power and teamwork and just staying strong, working together. But why don't you tell us a little bit about yourself, man? Like just because I mean I don't really know you very well or at all,
Yeah,
really.
so I'm originally from Los Angeles, California. I
Cool.
moved out here in the 90s though, so I'm went to the school here in Raleigh, NC State, and
Okay, cool.
I was started out as I DJed professionally for 20 years, so I was like
Nice.
doing a lot of parties and stuff around the country. I did some stuff overseas, and then yeah, if funny story, but yeah, I was actually trafficking pot
Okay.
at back in like 2009 for like a couple months.
Yeah.
And this dude owed me money and he never paid me and he gave me a bunch of screen print equipment.
Well, there
So
you
that's
go.
kind of how I got into this, believe it or not.
It's
I
hilarious.
don't normally tell people that, but I just figured why not this time.
Yeah, why not? Might as well. It's a funny story. You were
But
doing.
yeah, I mean, that wasn't even really my thing, but it kind of ended up working out because I was playing these music events at bars, and it's like the band story kind of.
For sure.
Printed some shirts for the bar I was playing at, and then another bar, and then it just kind of turned
Yeah.
into a thing. And so I haven't done any DJing for about 5 or 6 years now, six
Yeah.
years almost.
Yeah.
Just been solely focusing on trying to grow this business, and I really like being able to provide friendly work environment for my staff and
That's
giving
sweet.
people opportunities.
Yeah. How many people are on your staff over there?
So right now there's four in our shop and then three remote.
Okay.
Uh, Yeah. So like our production is three. I have an admin that helps with some phone, email stuff.
Yeah, some front end stuff.
Marketing team that helps with some Facebook ad stuff. You
Yeah.
know.
What does Redbird refer to exactly?
So funny story actually, because you're in Ohio. So the North Carolina state bird is a cardinal, which I
Yup,
think it's also your state,
it also is. Yeah.
right?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
is.
So the red bird is the state bird, the cardinal,
Cool,
and
man.
so that's kind of what it is. And I even have like a little bird feeder out here with a bunch of cardinal food in it. So we always have these cardinals outside of our shop. It's kind of cool.
Yeah, that's awesome, dude. Yeah, the Cardinals, man, they're beautiful birds, and it's cool because the males and females look a lot different. Like,
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
I think is it the females that have like more brown in them, and then the
Yeah,
males
they're like the browner ones, and then the males are like the red ones
bright
with the
red. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And cool birds.
yeah.
So tell us a little bit about North Carolina. I know you said you went to school there.
Yeah, so yeah, North Carolina, it's a college town that we're in for sure. We have Duke, we have UNC Chapel Hill, where Jordan went, and then we
Yeah.
have North Carolina State, all within about, I'd say, 20 minutes of each other from each
Oh, wow.
other's. Yeah, they're
Okay.
all like right there. And then, so really close. There's a big college community. I mean, we're about 3 miles from or the state university. But not a lot of our business is coming from there
Okay.
for whatever reason.
Yeah.
It
Yeah.
may
I
not be
know.
that it's not necessarily that I'm not going after it per se, but yeah, we don't get a whole lot of university business here.
Yeah, I know that the like fraternity and sorority, they they take up a lot of screen printing. There's actually a huge like printing business here in Cleveland called U University Tees, and that's like all their business. It's just
Oh, really?
printing for fraternities and sororities around the country.
Yeah,
Yeah.
we had the Greek licensing, but we just kind of it got a little bit too much for me, so I just haven't gone down that.
Too much volume wise or just too much of a headache?
Just too much of a headache with all the paperwork, and you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It was just really a lot of paperwork for these fraternity accounts that were not ordering consistently,
Gotcha.
and you know, you have to pay the royalties also to the university and all of that.
Gotcha.
Just was not really our lane. Right now, our focus really has been on helping people build their apparel brands. I would say that's the
Okay.
majority of our work.
Okay.
So we're doing a lot of like custom prints, neck tags, folding and bagging.
Okay. So the whole
Um,
deal. Yeah.
yeah, putting the size stickers on there and all of that kind of stuff. We're
You guys
doing some filming, but space is running. We're running out of space here at this location,
so
so
you are doing fulfillment there too?
yeah, we are. We're as best we can. It's just
Yeah.
we're in about 4,000 square feet, so
Okay.
it's not a very big shop.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah,
Nice. Nice, man. Yeah, so like I know you kind of mentioned your kind of like beginning story about like you kind of started that's a kind of similar story you hear a lot, people start in a band, they start printing shirts for their band and then they print shirts for their friend's band and then it kind of snowballs from there. Is there like anything else you guys are doing at the beginning to get started, or is it mostly like
so I would say, my main thing when I was starting, when I was in a garage that was like in the downtown part of the city,
yeah,
like a little 500 square foot garage,
yeah,
you know what I mean? And had no idea what I was getting myself into,
oh for
honestly, at
sure.
the time.
Yeah. How hard could it be?
Yeah, I had no idea that I was gonna be working like 70-hour
Oh
weeks
yeah.
the next 5 years or whatever, stressing out about stuff. But what really I think worked for me initially was focusing on local businesses,
Okay.
and
Yeah.
local clients.
Were you like
Trying to
reaching?
get Google reviews, trying to
Yeah.
get people to share posts, that kind of stuff.
Yeah. Were you
Just
guys
your
doing?
basic, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
So that's really what I try to focus my attention on. Terrible with like web stuff. It's not my forte.
Yeah.
Um, so I've kind of struggled in that department a little bit.
When you say web stuff, you mean like all the like Google ads, Facebook ads, that kind of stuff,
I
or you
would
just mean
say
like,
more like SEO,
gotcha,
marketing, kind of the getting more organic business through your .com,
for sure.
Yeah, it
Yeah.
was I struggle in that department a bit. But the good thing is there's people that don't struggle in that department that can
Yeah.
hire. Um,
For sure. Yeah.
but
We'll be.
yeah,
Yeah. It's definitely something I struggle with too. Just like you know, trying to. I was actually thinking about that. I was like, at some point it's gonna be really nice to work with like someone who's kind of a professional at like the marketing and advertising to like give me some
yeah,
insight.
for sure. It definitely helps. You can, I mean, I don't know, honestly. I've seen some really successful shops with hardly any web content,
It's crazy.
on their site, and
Yeah.
they're running 13 presses,
Yeah. It's insane. Yeah.
and
I know.
I don't understand if it's just what's going on there. So I think it's just really going after it in all angles, at the end of the day.
I think it's important for both of us, like or anybody's is I do the same thing. It's like I'll look at these shops and I'm like, they don't even have an Instagram or like they don't do
Yeah,
this or they don't do that and they're running they have three autos that are spinning like 50 hours a week or whatever and it's like
yeah,
I try to just remember to like everybody's different and every business is different and what works for somebody else is
absolutely,
probably not going to
absolutely.
work for me and I just need to figure out what works for Daybreak and you got to figure out what works for Redbird.
No, and you're 100% correct on that.
But it
100%.
is frustrating, man, when you're just like you see or you hear about these shops that are insanely busy and you're just like some
Yeah, I mean,
yeah,
and a lot of it's contract work too. I mean, the thing is like our pricing is not, we're not a cheap shop, man. And that's just one thing I kind of refuse to lower my pricing just because my competitors' pricing is lower.
yeah, for sure.
And it hurts us sometimes. I will be, like, just to be honest, but at the end of the day, like, I do feel like we're printing a much better product. I put a lot of work into learning about printing and making sure the print order is right, screen mesh is right. We're using low flex ink, trying to print on as much AS color, just nice garments as possible, so that everything looks good when the client gets it. The custom boxes have really helped us. We started using custom boxes about 3 years ago,
Nice.
and that really helps. It doesn't seem like it seems like something that may not be very important, but it actually does. Just it helps. It definitely makes the presentation look a lot better.
Nice. Yeah. And something else I always think about too when it comes to pricing is like I kind of feel like customer experience and customer service varies wildly from shop to shop. So it's not fair. Yeah, sure, like we might be we might have a similar product or a product that a lot of times the customer thinks the product is the same
Yeah,
and sure the product could be the same but like do you like do you like working with me or do you like working with that person that you can barely have any time to talk to so that's why
yeah,
always really like I'm always really big on like customer experience and customer service because then it's like, yeah, okay, well maybe I cost a little bit more, but they really like working with me, so they don't really care, you know?
Yeah, no, for sure. That's definitely part of it. I think it's important to give them that just something to hang on to. I mean, the brick and mortar print shops, or local print shops have to compete against these big like custom ink, rush order tees. We have these companies that have, $400 million company that we're
Yeah,
trying to compete against technically.
yeah,
There's a lot more resources that they have. So yeah, it's important that we focus on that experience part to drive more
exactly.
business and customer retention and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, exactly. I feel like the customer experience, it's like I think about it too, even with like certain restaurants, man. Like there's this restaurant just right down the street from us here, and it's basically my favorite restaurant in town because it's like you go there, the service is always immaculate. The servers are always
Yeah,
super nice. The food is amazing. It's a comfortable atmosphere, and all of those things are what contribute to the overall experience. Like, so what was my experience being a patron of this business? So that's why, I'm always like thinking like how important, how is a customer's experience with Daybreak gonna be? And if you have elite customer experience, then that you can charge more for that. That's how
yeah,
you can justify that increased pricing. You know
for
what I
sure.
mean? So did you guys have like I know I talked to you a little bit about like how we have two brands here that we're managing now. Did you have like a did Redbird have a brand at all that you guys were printing, or do you guys kind of
No,
just
that's always been something I've wanted to
yeah.
venture into, if I'm honest. But yeah, no, I haven't necessarily done that. We've released like some shirts in the past for sure.
Mm-hmm.
Um, you know, a decent amount of shirts, but it's not something I've really been focused on lately.
Yeah.
I've been really, my attention has been at least last year was on just general like organizational stuff at the shop,
Cool.
and trying to get it to run a little more on its own,
Yeah.
building just a good team of people that can bring an order in, process it, print it, and get it to the client
Yeah.
as quickly as possible. So yeah, we got a CTS machine in last
Nice.
year, and that really helped speed up the process. We're setting up multicolor jobs in 5 minutes now. So those
Yeah.
kind of things really help. I think it's all about automation in this industry for sure.
Yeah.
Um, if you, I mean, depending on what you're trying to do, I suppose.
Yeah, I think that like idea, I don't know if you ever heard of it, called like lean manufacturing. Like that, I think like a lot of it kind of came from like the Japanese like cultures and like the Japanese corporate structure where they kind of like had this huge emphasis on like making the manufacturing process as lean and seamless as possible, and it like included so like it it kind of what it a big emphasis is like even like really like little things like, okay, well, where do we have our ink and how long does it take the ink to get over to this spot, and just
Hmm.
like reducing
The
re-
time, you know,
exactly, because even if you're reducing like small amounts of time, those small amounts of time add
it
up.
adds up. I mean, there's been a generous return on the CTS machine that,
That's
I
awesome.
mean, we should have got one years ago, honestly, but,
Yeah.
I mean, I really started trying to grow Redbird about 4 years ago.
Yeah.
I started Redbird in 2014, but I was playing parties and events for 6 of those years. So
For
like
sure.
I was trying to like do both kind
Yeah.
of, you know. But going back to what you're saying, the making the manufacturing part seamless
Yeah.
was definitely a struggle for me.
Yeah, I mean,
to
it's
say
hard
the least. Like
for
it
sure.
was definitely hard. And we're, I mean, we still have things that we're working on for sure, but there are systems in place here
Yeah.
now.
And it'll
You
get
know,
better too with time, you know,
yeah, yeah,
the
yeah,
more you
for
work
sure.
on it.
Well, let me give you an example of a problem that we had today that we probably haven't had for a year,
Yeah.
maybe longer. So we printed these shirts for a university. Um, the designer, the designer is actually one of our clients. They're heavily involved in the Lumbee community in the area.
Okay.
And so they we sent them the proofs and the quote. Actually, I have the shirt right here. It came out really, I thought it came out good. I thought it
Yeah.
came out really good, actually. It's on an AS color, but there's a black box around this. And it was on the proof that we sent them that she approved. We sent her a proof with the black box and one on a completely separate quote without black square. And she approved the black square, didn't approve or anything, and submitted the quote. Prices were different, and we delivered them 2 hours away. The dude's on his way back now, and so she called and was like, "These are wrong. They weren't supposed to have a black box on them. And everyone notices it. Looks terrible."
Oh my
And
God.
I'm like, "Well, you approved the quote. Like you have to click approve, and then you have to put your name in a box that
Yeah.
says this is exactly what you're going to get,
Yeah.
and that's what we did. And we got it to her 10 days earlier than the day they were due,
Wow.
you know. But it's these kind of little things. It's like, what am I supposed to do if you approve this and you didn't approve the other one? I'm
Yeah.
not going to reprint the shirts for you. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So in that situation, do you just have to, I mean, obviously, like you said, you're not going to be able to reprint it because they approved it.
Well, I mean, I told her I would reprint it, but she's going to have to pay for them again.
Yeah,
You know?
for
I
sure.
mean, if we had printed it without the black box, then she would have, and she approved the other one, then it could have very possibly went the other way around. So as long as we're giving the customer what they approve,
What
that's
else,
all we can do, right?
what else can you do?
Yeah, I mean, what's your approval system like
It's
for, yeah,
basically it's basically the exact same thing. Like they have to sign off on we have like a document that we send over and they have to sign off saying that it looks good. And an issue, I mean, this is one of the hardest parts about what we do because you know I don't know if I'm sure you've run into this too, where it's like we have like our standard placement, right? So we have like whatever, four fingers down, or and then on the back we have like a
depending how tall it is, yeah.
certain amount of inches down. And like that's something that I've run into a lot with, like people know where, or they're supposed to know where the placement's going to be because we've stated that in our approval process, and then they get it and they're like, I had a guy, I printed this huge order. I had to press some DTF because it was like these really insane artwork. And I printed him on the back. He was unhappy because when there, I pressed him on hoodies and the hood was down. And he was like, well, when the hood's down, you can't see the top of the artwork. And I'm just like, bro, like, that's not how this works. You know what I mean? It's
Yeah,
just
we've definitely had that before too. I mean, yeah,
it's hard.
that's why the proof process is, very important, man, and the approval process is important.
Yeah, and I guess the only thing we can do is double check. Like just try to double check like, hey, do you really want it this way? like and that's hard as a printer because I mean I'm sure you know like a lot of times they want it a certain way and you think it looks terrible, but you're like it's not it's not I'm not paying for it, right? Like they're the one that's paying for it, and
Hmm.
that's why I'm
Yeah.
always just double checking, try to double check, triple check, and the issue that I have not run into, which terrifies me, is people getting an order and saying that the order is like less than what they ordered.
Oh.
And like but you know for sure because you counted it, so you know for sure that you counted it correctly. Like I've heard of that and I like I'm terrified to have to deal with something like that.
Yeah, I mean, that's happened to us before for sure when we've, printed an order of 24 pieces and they're like eight are missing, and I'm like,
Yeah, you're
it's
like what?
impossible.
Yeah.
So now what we do is when the shirts are counted in, we take a picture of the packing slips, we fill out a counting card, and then when they go out, we fill out another count card and also take a picture of that card so that and then we also have the order receipt basically that we have online too. So
Yeah.
I mean, if we ordered it this way, it was counted in this way, and then counted out this way, and you're saying that eight are missing, then sorry, bro.
Yeah. Yeah. So I guess that's probably what we'll have to do too, is just have like official documentation that says that they're counted in and
Yeah,
counted
it
out.
helps, man. I mean, it's definitely some extra steps, but it just helps prevent stuff from happening, because we had one client once. It was and this happens with has happened with multiple schools before, where they come pick up the order and then someone will set the shirts down in like the office, and then someone will come grab one out, and someone else will come grab one out, and
Oh
then they'll
yeah.
count and then they'll count them and say that shirts are missing. And it's like, no, no, they were all actually there, but you guys left the box out so that the public could
Just
grab them.
yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. Yeah, that's I've heard horror stories about miscounts and stuff. But I know we were like briefly talking about it before, but what kind of things do you think have worked best as far as like getting business in the door? Are you doing like a lot of outbound type stuff, or do you think
Um,
a lot of your marketing is
yeah,
working?
I mean, right now we don't do a whole lot of I mean, really it's social media, I guess, which
Yeah,
we don't do a lot of, I mean, I'm probably doing one post a month right now, which is
yeah,
terrible.
yeah,
But between that, we I do some cold calling,
yeah,
follow ups. It's all about capturing those inquiries, when people as buyers trying to capture those leads.
yeah. Is there any
Um,
way like have you guys found any way? I know you mentioned like, you guys aren't the cheapest shop on in town, like, which is obviously fine because you're providing a really high quality service. But is there any way you found to like combat like, the people that are just like shopping for the cheapest quote, or is there like not much you can
I
do about it?
mean, so it's kind of like what you said, like trying to give them at least a personable experience. If they call, if they email us, we'll give them a call,
Yeah,
especially if it's a big order, let them know they can stop by and check out our shop.
for sure.
We're a lot younger than the majority of the shops in the area. A lot of the shops in the area are pretty old school.
Well, I can just not to interrupt you, but I can tell you right now that that's probably I've been hearing more and more that I've heard of a couple pretty big old school shops in Cleveland kind of shutting down recently,
Yeah.
and I think more and more you're going to be seeing a lot more of that. So I think you guys are probably in a really good position moving forward, being like a
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's, we've definitely grown every year, it's just this slow season.
hmm
January, February, March, for whatever reason, it starts to pick up around March. But yeah, and election years too. Sometimes it slows down a little bit on when there's a new president in the office for whatever reason.
Yeah. There's a lot of uncertainty. The markets reflect that too. You know, the stock markets hate uncertainty. So they're, you know, people overreact so much to the freaking stock market. It's like it goes down and they're just like they start losing their minds and it's like just relax, you know, like it's just like it's just typical like speculation and uncertainty. But we noticed that a lot. Like last year, I mean, we've only been in business 2 years, but like that there's one of my business partners that I'm taking over her brand. Um, Last year was like a really big like down year for her, and I just think a lot of that was just like uncertainty with like the election and all that nonsense. And I think um, we've been feeling the effects of it, of inflation and whatnot too. But it sounds like you guys are you, oh, this is what I meant to ask you. And I think you briefly touched on it, but like are you guys doing most of your business like locally, or are you guys kind of like shipping a lot of stuff out?
We're doing, I would say, 70% local.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
I would
For
imagine that's a
whatever
good thing.
reason, we've been really big in Texas
Cool.
lately. Uh, I have no idea why. We've been doing a lot of Texas stuff.
Cool.
But yeah.
Streetwear stuff, like streetwear brands, are kind of just
Yes.
like,
Well, one was a marathon, one was a streetwear brand.
okay,
Um, and
yeah,
the other guy was an automotive store.
cool. So it sounds like you guys are doing like a pretty like diverse like clientele kind of
Yeah,
spread.
it's pretty all over the place for sure. I do need to buckle down and figure out like what our niche is and what we, want to start focusing on. I
Yeah,
think building brands is one of those things.
for sure. Because you have a lot of insight, like not just being a printer, you have a lot of insight, like what's gonna help, get this brand to the next level. And you
Yeah.
mentioned you mentioned like using super high quality blanks like the AS Color stuff. And well, I have like later on my list here, we're gonna talk more in detail about like that kind of stuff. But do you guys offer any kind of specialty printing, like, or like, do you have anything that you guys offer?
We do metallic. We don't
Yeah,
do any flock or anything like that.
yeah.
Glow in the dark, 3M, do those. That's really it, man.
Do you think you got the
Um,
puff? Do you have the puff thing pretty dialed in?
yeah, it's pretty dialed in.
Cool.
At least the jobs we've done so far haven't been anything too complicated for us.
Yeah, I did puff. I did a big puff job last year, and I just felt like I kept adding in like more and more of the puff additive. Like I just like kept adding in more.
So, so instead of adding the puff additive into the mixture, run it through the dryer
Okay.
multiple times, and you'll notice it will inflate each time you run it through the dryer more.
Yeah,
Uh, that's one thing, but it also depends on the type of additive you get. We've had some additive that just sucked ass. It didn't puff hardly at all.
yeah. That might have been the issue too. I was using like a pretty much basic, like off the shelf one.
Yeah, I mean, and we use a generic brand from TechSource that
Okay.
works great.
Okay.
But they were out once, and I got some from another place. I don't want to say their name, but
Yeah.
that shit sucked.
Yeah. 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 It was interesting. Like, and another thing I noticed too is I think I was like over curing a little bit, and that puff just immediately deflated if I was over curing it. Is that correct, or was I like
You said to
misinterpreting?
deflate.
It seemed like it was deflating. Yeah.
Oh, did it?
Yeah. I
I
felt
mean,
like,
so typically we'll put like in a 32 ounce like a container like this big.
okay.
We would put about that much puff in there, I would
Okay.
say, if it's filled with ink. And then if it's a single color, run it through the dryer once. It would rise, then we'd run it through again, it'd rise, and then we'd run it through again, it'd get even fatter,
Cool.
until we figured out like the exact thickness we
Yeah.
wanted, kind of thing.
Do you do any
Uh,
stretch additive?
say that again.
Will you put in any stretch additive too, or no?
So I mean, we basically put that amount that I showed you, and then just run it through the dryer more instead of adding the additive.
I got you.
So you probably want to figure out you shouldn't have to put too much in there. Like a generous tablespoon
Yeah.
per container about this size is about right.
Cool.
I know those aren't very exact measurements, but you know, and then yeah, we just if we needed it to get inflate more, it would we put it through the dryer again. And
Yeah.
it
That's pretty
dries
cool.
kind of a lot more. I didn't realize how much more it would expand per time you pass it through the dryer.
Yeah.
So that was pretty cool.
Yeah. Puff is cool. It's like satisfying when it comes out really good.
Yeah, for sure.
Did you ever notice like any did you ever have any like of the sorry, like the mesh like lines in the puff? Did you notice that at all?
Yeah, yeah, that happens too sometimes.
Yeah.
Um, but yeah, with the right squeegee angles, and we started using thinner mesh screens,
Yeah.
and
Yeah, I gotta
it
get some.
helps combat a lot of that.
Cool, man. Well, yeah, let's talk some shop a little bit. I saw on your Instagram you guys are running a rock. Um, when did you guys like get are you guys just running one rock right now? Do you have a
Yeah,
couple?
we're running one rock. And that's it. I have a manual set up back there too.
Yeah,
Um, and this year we're trying to squeeze embroidery into here into this little shop.
bring it in house.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Um, and then hopefully move into a bigger location next year. Those are kind of
some long
plans for
term,
the shop.
short term goals or whatever. Nice. Now, yeah, I those rocks seem pretty awesome from my
Yeah, they're
understanding.
great. We have a P10, so it's a six color, 10 station. Um, I initially got it because you can add a couple more heads to it, so I can make it an eight color if I wanted to,
Cool.
which I'm probably gonna do.
Yeah, they had one press on their. I'm always like peeking on their site. They had one that's like an eight color 10 station with like a built-in air compressor that I thought was really cool.
Oh yeah, yeah, I've seen those the newer line with the built-in.
Yeah, it's like a self-contained air compressor. It seems
Mhm.
pretty sweet. Um, so do you guys have embroidery? Are you guys have any like your eyes on any kind of like specific machines that you're gonna bring
We
in?
have the Kojima machines right now.
Okay.
Um,
How many heads you guys think you're gonna bring in?
I think I can get an eight head in here.
Oh, nice.
You know,
That's what's up.
that's the goal.
That's cool, man. Yeah, that's gotta be interesting, like looking at all the different machines, trying to figure out what's gonna work best for you.
Yeah,
Um,
for sure.
was um was the decision to automate and get the rock in there, was that like a pretty easy decision that you guys made, or did it work?
Yeah, I it was a decision I made. I wish I had made it sooner for
Cool.
sure. Um,
Were you just running
but
one
like,
manual before that, or did you have a couple
yeah,
manuals?
I was like a one man show, man.
Yeah,
Up until 4 years ago, and I was like, I can't do this. I can't just sit here and print the shirts, wash the screens, mix the ink, do
yeah,
the website, reply to emails, send the quotes, do the proofs, do the you know what I mean? It was just too much.
too
So I
much.
was like, I need to figure out how to
Yeah,
not have to do everything.
yeah, for sure. So how many people do you have on the Rocky, or is there like how many people can run it at one time?
Usually, Vanessa, she's like the main press operator, so
Cool.
she can set everything up. And then I have a girl, Elena does the ink mixing and she's receiving. So she counts shirts in the beginning part of the day and then she gets all the inks prepped for later on in the week.
Nice.
And then I have Paula that does screens. She does reclaim and she hooks the screens up to the Spire CTS.
Sweet. So it sounds like you got a nice little crew going.
Yeah, yeah, they're great, man. Yeah, it took some time, but they're great for sure.
Was it when you started hiring initially, was it tough to
It was a
find?
nightmare.
It was a nightmare.
It was a nightmare. I don't have any like managerial experience
Yeah.
or you know what I mean. I've never managed people before, so I was really bad at hiring people.
Yeah.
Um, but I think I found a solution to that problem, and
Cool.
yeah,
Now, when you first automated, did you guys have enough work to keep the auto pretty busy at first, or were you kind of, yeah, yeah,
definitely.
yeah. Hey,
You know,
well,
it was a struggle, man. It definitely was a struggle. But I think that's part of the growing of a business, period. Like,
yeah, you got to take
that,
that leap.
yeah, it's gonna anytime you add new expensive piece of equipment to the mix, it's gonna things are gonna get kind of uncomfortable for a little bit.
Yeah. Well, do you guys do any like DTG, DTF over there? You guys press anything?
I had a DTG machine. I sold it 2 years ago though.
Okay.
It was just too much of a headache. We were getting a lot of phone calls for, one shirt that was they wanted, 2 hours worth of revisions for,
Yeah,
and I
for
was
sure.
just like, oh, this thing is dumb.
Yeah, it seems like a very DCG seems like a very specific model that I have
Yeah,
no.
high color counts, low quantities,
Yeah,
so
we do a ton of DCF
yeah.
for that exact reason. And we're getting, I'm sure you probably see this too, tons of people sending us like artwork that they make on Canva, and it's always like super like high color count stuff, and it's not the highest quality artwork, and we have to end up fixing it or whatever. But we'll like end up pressing a lot of that stuff DTF, and um, yeah,
Yeah,
I don't really have any like major issues with it. Like I think the quality's pretty good. It's just different, It's like different than screen printing. It doesn't
yeah,
age.
for sure, for sure. I
But
agree.
it doesn't age the same way as screen printing. Like a lot of clients want that like kind of like where that screen printing's gonna like start to like break up and like age and everything. And
Are you doing the DTFs in house or
no,
like
we
super?
order them for sure.
Okay.
Is that what you mean? Like, are we ordering
Yeah,
transfers?
are you
Yeah,
getting
yeah,
like
yeah.
super color or ninja transfers or
We use
something? Or
we use stalls.
oh, stalls?
Stalls are
Yeah.
local to
Mhm.
here. They have a huge factory. It's about 20 minutes away from here. So if we have to put in a huge order and go pick it
Oh, that's
up,
cool.
we can just
That's
go.
cool. Yeah, I use stalls a lot.
I'm a huge fan of their DTF transfer. It's called like the Ultra Color Max. It basically prints perfectly. It peels perfectly. I do like Supercolor. I have had a little bit of issues peeling Supercolor. The hot peel has not always worked great for me with.
Yeah, so if that happens, I found adjusting the pressure on your press
Is it
helps
too?
out.
Do you think it's too much pressure or not enough pressure?
Probably not enough if you're peeling it and it's not separating.
Yeah,
You know what I mean?
I know what you mean.
Definitely increase the pressure.
Yeah,
That should help
because we've never
because
had
we
that.
were having that issue with those also, and we just increased the pressure and solved it like that.
That
It
must be
just
what the issue was. Because
yeah,
the stall stuff, we've never had any issues peeling stalls.
I
It's always,
got you. I'll have to give their DTFs a shot,
yeah,
man.
the Ultra Color Max. I mean, they're amazing. They work.
Okay.
Yeah, they're like the best transfers that I've used. Super. I'm not trying to like hate on Supercolor or anything. They
No,
do.
I hear what you're saying. Yeah, I got you.
Um, but what other? Yeah, I'm sorry. I'm just reading our my script that I wrote over here, making sure we're not missing anything. I know you. I had a question on here about like any new equipment that you wanted to highlight, but you talked about the CTS machine.
Yeah, it's really the CTS. We want to get embroidery in here.
Yeah,
Trying to get a screen coder, an auto coder.
cool.
That's really it right now, man. I just am not trying to. I'm just trying to be in a. I want to be in a comfortable position before I invest in expensive equipment. You
Dude,
know
I
what I
feel
mean?
it. Yeah,
Yeah,
I know it, man. Like I know that feeling. Um, trying to like pick and choose what kind of stuff you want to buy and whatnot, and it can be challenging for sure.
yeah,
Um,
definitely.
so this is an interesting question because I like to talk to other printers about like what kind of blanks and stuff that they like using. What kind of like what are kind of like your go-to blanks? I know you mentioned like the AS color, and I know that I
Yeah,
got.
we love AS Color because their warehouse is in Charlotte, North Carolina.
Oh,
So
cool.
it's a 1 day ship for us. And yeah, I like the way their basic and their staple tees print. Um, Aside from AS Color, we're just doing a lot of Gildan, honestly, you know.
Yeah, we
Um,
use so for tie dyeing, we use basic. We found like the stuff that tie dyes the best is actually like the more cost effective shirts, like
Gildan's, yeah, for
The
sure.
G5000 and the
Yeah,
G2000 tie dyes incredibly well. And then
yeah.
we use the M&O Gold soft touch shirts.
Uh,
Those are actually some of my favorite shirts, and they're like
which ones are those again?
they're called M&O Gold.
Huh.
Um, I'll text you over.
Okay.
I'll shoot you the link to them.
Yeah, send that to me. That'd be dope.
They're a really great alternative to the G5000, and
Okay.
they're about the same price or even a little bit less. And they actually, in my opinion, are a little bit softer. Um, and my clients really like those shirts. So yeah, I use those a lot. I like the G2000, the 6 ounce. That's a really good shirt. That long sleeve is really good. It's really like nice and warm.
Yeah.
And then for like the more premium stuff, we like the Toltec stuff a lot. Um,
Yeah.
I've
Those are
always,
great too.
yeah, I've always really liked the Toltec stuff. I got some samples of the AS Color, and they seem like super high quality, like really
They're
nice
not
shit.
bad, man. I mean, yeah, they, for 100% cotton, and then they have some of the heavier, like garment dyed blanks. We've been getting a lot of requests for those. Uh, we were printing on a lot of Next Level and like Bella Canvas
Yeah, I'm not.
prior to AS Color.
Yeah,
But recently we've just been doing a lot more AS Color stuff.
yeah. I the Bella Canvas stuff is crazy popular. I just feel like the 3001 to me is just a little bit flimsy. Um, so that's
Yeah,
why it just seemed like a little bit flimsy. And like the Toltecs makes a shirt. It's like the 202, and it's like really similar to the 3001, except it's little bit heavier,
yeah, it's a little thicker, yeah, for sure.
little thicker, not quite
It's a
as.
great shirt, the 202 one. Yeah,
Yeah, those are great shirts. And like as far as my customers go, like they love the Toltec stuff. So um. What kind of hoodies do you guys, or like what kind of fleece do you guys print on mostly?
we do a lot of independent
Yeah,
4000s. We do a good amount of AS colors. It's actually what they're printing right now are the AS hoodies, and
cool.
then your 185,000s.
Nice. Yeah, I didn't test out any of the AS Color fleece. I should probably get some of those in just to see how they are.
Yeah, you should try them out. The independent ones are really nice. Also, they're just good quality.
The independent stuff is great. My only beef with the independent stuff is I'm kind of a bigger guy. I wear like 2X and 3X hoodies, and
Uh,
I I wear their 3X hoodie, and it's just not like you would think a 3X hoodie would be like huge, and it's just like
which
not.
one is it? Is it the AFX?
I usually use either the midweight or the heavyweight, and
Okay.
I have a mid the I have the midweight in like a 3X, and it feels like a 2X. It doesn't feel like a 3X, but
Yeah, you have to. So I noticed with independent stuff that, like for me, the some of it runs really big and some of it runs really tiny.
yeah,
And I know their midweight hoodie, which I think is AFX 90,
okay. I don't
is
know the model
tiny.
number. Yeah,
It's tiny.
that's probably the
But
one.
their their IND 4000 and PRM 3500 run huge for
I'm gonna
whatever reason.
I'm gonna
The
pull it up.
PRM 3500 is like a crew neck sweatshirt, and I can fit into a size small.
Wow.
And I'm usually like a medium large person.
Yeah,
Um, and
I'm
a
just pulling.
small like actually fits me like a medium, you know.
Yeah, that's interesting. Cause I don't know. Like if I'm getting a 2X, 3X, like I need it to be not just
Have the space
not just for me, like for my clients, you know how
for sure. I
Americans,
would definitely get them to send you some samples of a couple different brands of garments that they have. That way you can try all like three or four of them on because they'll fit. I can reassure you that two of them, two out of the four would fit completely different.
yeah, it looks like the independent heavyweight is the IND 4000.
Yeah,
That one has fit pretty good. I haven't really had any issues. I've never
yeah,
tried
that's my favorite one. The other ones though are pretty small.
the midweight. I'm just trying to find the midweight one. Um, yeah, I mean, you know how Americans, man, Americans are big people. So I can't be giving someone a 2X or a 3X sweatshirt that's not big enough. And a lot of people like a lot of construction guys and stuff, they want to layer up. And so this is the SS 4500. That's the midweight
Yeah, that's
hoodie.
the other one.
That one is kind of small,
Yeah,
but it's pretty, the price is good. Like, they're not, I'm looking at the price right here and they're like significantly less than the heavyweight, but it's not worth it. If it doesn't fit right, it's not worth,
it's not. No, you're absolutely right.
it's not worth it. So, I know I had one of the heavyweights, like one of their camo heavyweight ones and a 2X, and that one was like perfect fitting. So I'll probably just start using those,
Stick to that one for
stick to
sure.
it, and,
And like don't hesitate to call SNS and say, hey, can y'all send me like three samples?
yeah.
You know
Yeah,
what I
SNS
mean?
is awesome, dude. We have a we have an SNS warehouse, and it's like 2.5 hours from us here in Ohio, but I get everything like next day. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, that's perfect. Yeah,
Yeah,
it's the 1 day shift is
it's
great. You
killer.
know.
I was when I saw that you guys were using AS Color and you started talking about it, I was surprised because this is my ignorance. I was under the impression that AS Color was like a New Zealand company that and like they were only shipping out of like that part of the world, but I didn't realize they had warehouses over here too.
Yeah, yeah. So they started kind of expanding to the US about 10 years ago, I think. And maybe about 5 years ago, they kind of started to make their way to the East Coast
Cool.
slowly. And then they opened that warehouse in Charlotte last year. And it's definitely grown quite a bit. So, yeah, I would suggest checking them out.
For sure. I mean, it's
Yeah,
what
they just their catalog of stuff is really laid out well, and
yeah. I feel
it
like
attracts certain clientele for sure.
I feel like it's our responsibility as printers um to like to be up on like anything and everything that's out there because it's not we need to be able to offer our customers like anything and everything that's available. You know what I mean? So like that's why I feel like I got to get up on the AS color stuff and just see because like my clients they might like it and they might want
Yeah,
it.
no, absolutely. You guys have a little showroom?
Um, kind of, sort of. Yeah, yeah. Yeah. Not like it's
Yeah,
not big
so you can have some like samples set up
for sure.
on a hanger, either whether it's printed or not. That always helps. I think a lot of people like having the option of being able to come into the shop and
Yeah,
feel their garments.
we use one of our retailers. We have a store. We have a retail. Not it's not like a. It's a small like clothing boutique where
Yeah,
and they carry our Daybreak stuff and we kind of use that rack space over there. Like we meet her we as like a showroom and whatnot.
yeah. That's
So
fine. That works.
yeah, it's just because you know how the shop is. Like for me, it's like I don't want to bring somebody in if it's like the shop might be really dirty or smelly or like
Yeah, no, I hear you. I hear
yeah.
you.
Um, any underrated stuff like underrated apparel that you want to shout out or talk about? Like
So I went out to Long Beach this year, and I want to say it was called BTS. Have you
okay,
heard of that?
I don't think I've heard of that.
It's
BTS.
either BTS or MBTS. I can't remember, but I'll send you a link. I have one of their hoodie samples and super nice hoodie.
Cool.
Um, uh, Other than that, really, no, nothing else.
BTSA behind the scenes.
That's it. That's it. BTSA.
Yeah,
Yep, I knew I was
behind the scenes
apparel.
apparel is a minority owned premium made in the USA apparel manufacturer out of
Oh
Los
wow.
Angeles.
Okay.
Yeah, they're actual looks like they're a clothing blank apparel manufacturer out of LA.
Yeah. So
Um,
their hoodies were super dope.
do you like the LA apparel stuff?
Uh, man.
Yeah, I remember, man, I printed a huge order of LA apparel stuff, and I was like, God, like the hoodies were like 14 ounces, but they
Yeah,
didn't
there's it's really, really heavy
but
stuff,
they didn't fit good. Like they didn't. I don't know. I like more of like a longer. I have long arms and I'm tall, so like I don't like stuff that's like not cut very long. You know what I mean? So,
No, I hear you. Yeah, I
um,
mean it's okay.
yeah.
Um, we
It's,
have a lot of requests for it for sure.
do you get a lot of requests for comfort colors?
Sometimes we do
Yeah, people are
for sure.
pretty.
Yeah.
People really
Comfort
like comfort.
colors are dope too. I like them. I like their blanks.
I like them a lot. They're kind of expensive, but they're,
Yeah.
a lot of customers just that's what they want. And if that's what they want, who
Yup.
cares?
Yup.
Um, all right, man. So let's talk about just real quick, like some big picture stuff, like what, for Redbird, like I always ask like basically everyone on this podcast, like what does growth look like for you? Like what does growth for Redbird look like for you?
I mean, for us right now, it's really just trying to get into a larger space,
Okay.
and buying a little more equipment.
Yeah.
I'd like to have, a three auto shop with embroidery setup,
Yeah, that'd be sick.
you
Yeah.
know?
That's kind of how I like I kind of want like two autos, a manual, and maybe embroidery in-house because we have a couple shops that we outsource
Yeah.
our embroidery to. Yeah, and I need more space to work on my artwork because I work on like bigger pieces and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And I just don't have the space to work on it. So
That's cool.
how is like the real estate like in Raleigh? Do you think you guys will be able to find something okay, or is it a pretty like congested real estate market?
I mean, it's definitely not cheap, especially where we're at. I mean, we're in the state capital, you
Okay.
know.
I didn't realize that was the
Yeah,
capital.
Raleigh is the capital of North Carolina, and there's about, I think, 1 million people here in the Raleigh area.
Yeah, Cleveland.
Um,
Yeah.
yeah, it's definitely growing, you know. There's a lot of tech companies out here and stuff like that. Apple's building a campus out here, and
Yeah, a lot of those
um,
like tech companies and whatnot are starting to move to like Texas, Tennessee, North Carolina, Florida.
yeah, yeah, for whatever reason. So, I mean, yeah, real estate isn't very cheap here, but you know, when I get to that point, I'll figure out how to solve that problem, you know.
For sure.
Right
Cleveland,
now, we're just trying to focus on staying busy and,
for sure.
you know, making sure everything comes out correctly.
Yeah. Do you feel like you can do you feel like you're at a point where you're like really letting your team like run the show, or do you have a hard time like not having your eyes on like everything?
I used to have a hard time with that, but yeah, that's not, I don't really have issues with that anymore just
Yeah,
because there's a bunch of systems in place for stuff,
cool.
you know, and instead of giving, I try to just make it so that the less options that they have, less room for
Yeah,
error.
dummy proofing
Yeah, you know what I mean?
for
That's, and
sure.
it's really hard to do that, but I think with the art department, like it was really helpful for us. That was kind of a turning point.
Are
We
the
started using Graphic Source. You know
nice.
Graphic Source?
I'm very familiar with them. I haven't used them yet, but I plan on using them in the future. Now, are they like, do you have like one of their like full-time
Yeah,
art
yeah, we're
staffing?
doing shebang,
That's
and
cool, man. So that works out pretty good for you guys.
man, it's helped out so much, bro. Cause like, I think we've been with Graphic Source for 2 years, going on maybe 3 years now.
Nice.
Um, and just not having to do all these proofs and do all these revisions and doing the color steps. I mean, I remember I would dread doing all these color steps and,
Yeah.
ugh, I don't even
Yeah.
want to think about it.
Yeah, for sure. Well, that's nice that you're able to kind of rely on them. And do their business hours do they work pretty similar to our business
Yeah,
hours?
so we have a designated employee from the time we open till the time we close that are on a Skype channel.
That's
So
awesome, dude.
we're using that in tandem with Printavo and you know the statuses and all of that. All that kind of stuff's really helpful.
Yeah, I'll have to when it comes time for us here, I'll have to pick your brain about it more and
Yeah, let me know, man. If there's
well,
anything that
yeah.
you have questions on, like for real, like feel free to just message me, you know.
Yeah,
Um,
absolutely, dude.
I think that's the best way to learn because there's just so much to it. There's just so much, you know.
Yeah, and I don't, I have a business partner slash mentor. She's been running a brand for a while, and she knows the ins and outs of running a brand, but I still am reaching out to tons of people on like the whole print shop like side of things and with questions
Yeah,
and
it's
whatnot.
definitely tedious.
Yeah, and like sometimes too, I feel like I'll have like a stupid question, and I'm like afraid to ask people, but like,
No, you can straight up just message me, you
yeah,
know. I'll shoot you my direct number too.
perfect.
You can just shoot me a text, you know.
Yeah, well, I always ask this of my guests too, like, do you have any questions for me? Like anything that you wanted to know about me or whatever?
What are your immediate goals? Are you guys trying to focus uh on live printing, or are you gonna try to go more traditional print shop route, or
So yeah, it'd be like right now it'd be two things. Like we are trying to still continue to grow both our brands, the Daybreak brand, and then this new brand that I'm taking over. We have our eyes on a few because we're in like three or four. We might be getting rid of one of them, but we're in like three stores right now. So like We're trying to like expand our the amount of stores that we're in. We have like 2 or 3 stores that we have our eyes on right now locally, like local stores that we're trying to get into. So yeah, right now we're kind of focused on. I just like recently acquired this second brand, so like this next year for me is just gonna be like kind of figuring out like how my I kind of call her my partner because we're basically partners now. And so trying to figure out how she does things and kind of trying to like get into we have a few stores that I think would be like a really good fit for us that we're trying to get into. And then yeah, trying to grow our custom shop as much as possible, you know.
Um,
So yeah, just I think trying to figure out more so like marketing and whatnot and like which marketing avenues would be best for us. Like, should we be focusing on Instagram marketing? Should we be focused on Facebook ads? Should we be focusing
you
on
kind of got to do a little bit of all
a
of it,
little bit of
man.
all of it? Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think there's one answer to any of that.
Yeah.
Unfortunately, like I wish it was that it worked that way, but I think focusing on quality of content is very important also,
For
you
sure.
know? Like
Yeah.
don't just take a picture of like a shitty shirt or just some
Yeah.
like shirt you printed, you know what I mean, and post it. I think that the more well thought out your content is, it really improves.
Yeah. Yeah, I definitely had it like when I first started, my Instagram was very unprofessional and just did not look very good. And I've been spending a lot of time trying to like clean it up and like make it look as professional as possible and like
Yeah.
making sure my posts and everything are like thoughtful and like I have a really good photographer. He's a good friend of mine, like trying to like utilize him as much as possible to take like
Yeah.
good professional photos and stuff. And so yeah, I mean we're still a pretty new business, man. We only been in business now a
Yeah,
couple of
yeah. I
years and
mean, and like I said, it's a hard business, so just don't hesitate to reach out if you have any questions, like
yeah.
anything, like even hey, what kind of ink, or hey, my puff isn't blah blah blah.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
Just let me know, bro. I feel like we should all be, in community trying to help. I've spent hours and hours and hours and weeks and months
Yeah.
and years, in a shop printing shirts, you know.
Yeah, and I another
It's
another goal for us too is just trying to like continue to get the word out there that we do like bulk tie dyeing and we have the ability to do that for folks if that's something that they're interested in because
yeah,
it's kind of a niche thing that like nobody really does. So if people can kind of like
yeah.
have
No, I
that
think that's a great idea. And having the originality of it is great. So
for sure.
definitely keep going down that road too.
Yeah. Anything else you wanted to talk about, man, before we wrap
I
up?
think that's it, man. I have a couple clients waiting out front.
Oh, dude, no problem.
Check on. But yeah, I really appreciate it. Send me a link when you have everything kind of together.
Yeah, absolutely. And I'll make like one of my Instagram posts and invite you as a collaborator so that you don't have to
Okay.
you can just
Yeah, and
accept
I'll shoot you my number,
for
and you
sure.
can just text me if you need anything, Kyle.
Yeah, go ahead and shout out anything you want to shout out real quick before you wrap up, man.
Shout out to let's see, all the screen printers out there trying to hustle and get it.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. Cool, Sammy. Well, I appreciate you taking the time, man. I'll let you get to your team and
No problem, bro. No problem. I appreciate it, Kyle.
yeah,
I'll be in touch. I'll shoot you that DM here in a moment. All
no
right.
problem. It'll take me a couple
All right.
days to get this edited and everything, but
Okay. Yeah. Take your time, bro. No rush.
cool, buddy. Nice chatting with you.
Thanks, man.
See you,
Take
bud.
care.
Later.
Bye.